have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay, for the record, because it's being recorded. Is it important when making a siyum? I mean, I assume it's not important, but I mean, like, do you have to save something that you never learned before, or then how do you ever do Hazor unless the next time you do like that last little bit, whatever you're going to do? Isn't it possible now that we can learn the whole daf and then still repeat the ending for the siyum, or not?
Yeah, I think that yes, we could learn the whole thing now. The siyum is all the same day. That's the fact that we have another hour of learning and mincha. That's cool that we're celebrating this. We don't have to wait for the actual meal to do it right before. It doesn't have to be mamash in the same sitting.
And in fact, Rebbe already probably prepared this, right?
Yeah, right.
And yet you're going to make a siyum too, aren't you? Aren't you going to make a siyum? So how can you make a siyum if you've already learned it?
I think it's proper to go till the end now, and as you say, we can chazer again, but that's also not necessary. But it's always good to chazer. But it's true. Maybe okay, we'll say. I don't think. If everyone wants to say it about Torah towards the end, that'll be nice. But I don't think we have to dafka learn again a few lines. This is finishing the Masechta, and then we'll have the Siddur shortly.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll try to get the So we're on the page item with Bays. Welcome back, David. I wasn't able to yet handle the picture being on. The guy showed me how to do it, but it's still some technicality still. So today we'll still do this with the text, and I hope that it's. I feel bad for those people who want the picture. I'd like to see a picture of everybody else, but that's as good as we can do right now. So we'll continue now, and the first line is Tanan Hassam. This pays item with base. Before it starts spreading, I don't have the whole Gemara in front of it. 1 second, I'll get it up just to see. Pays item with base, and it's 3, 5, 6 lines before it starts spreading. So this is a Mishnah in Maseches Taanis. And interesting enough that it doesn't talk about Ne'ilah at all in the whole Masechta. It doesn't talk about davening even in the whole Masechta in the Mishnayos. So it brings down a Mishnah from Maseches Taanis where it talks about Ne'ilah. Usually on a regular day, there's a Siyas Kapayim only in the morning. Shachris, also Musaf. On those days that there's a Musaf. But you don't have Ne'ilah Kapayim, you don't have Siyas Kapayim, you don't have Berachas Kohanim by Mincha. Rashi says because there's a chash that the Kohanim might have drank wine and they're not supposed to do Berachas Kohanim if they are shikar. But on the Taanis, that there's no chash that they became drunk. So there's Nesiyas Kapayim also by Mincha. And here it's going to say that those days that have Ne'ilah, there's also by Ne'ilah, there's also fast days. But there's three times a year, the Kohanim do Berachas Kohanim 4 times a day. 4 times a day means all the tefillas that are available. The Shachris, the Musaf, the Mincha, the Ne'ilah Shor. Not all the days that it's going to say now have a Musaf, like it's going to say Taniyos and Mamados, but it means all the tefillas that are going to be on that day, and some days even have 4 days, even have 4 tefillas, maybe range the 3 times the year are the Taniyos, when it's a drought and they make a fast for rain. And that's a serious Tainus that has Ne'ilah also. We don't do that nowadays. Baruch Hashem, there's rain, and they talk about that even if it's a drought, but it's possible to get food from other countries, so it's not mamish sakana, usually, should never be. And Mamados means that Am Yisrael was divided into 24 shifts, and same way the Kohanim were, and they would have fast days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they would have a fast day, and they would have, there would be representation of Am Yisrael for the Korbanos, and those fast days, they also would have Ne'ilah. And Yom Kippurim, which we have all tefillas, Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, Ne'ilah, so there's Nesiyas Kapayim every tefillah. That's the brisa, that's the Mishnah that the Gemara brings down from Taanis, Maseches Taanis, and the Gemara now wants to know what is Ne'ilah. That's the subject. Really, we just brought it down in order. We're not going to go into the subject of Berachas Kohanim. We just want to know what is Ne'ilah. So we know what Ne'ilah is, but the Gemara didn't know yet. My Ne'ilah Shalom. What does it mean? Rav Omar Slosa Yaserta, an extra tefillah, which is what we do. We do extra tefillah. We do like Rav. That is besides Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, there's also Ne'ilah. Shmuel Amar Manu Machayenu. According to Shmuel, it's a vidoy. That's Manu Machayenu, which we also say that That's some people say it every day. One called Olomim, and we had it mentioned earlier in the daf when we spoke about what vidu is. So one was Rabbi Yochanan said, "Manu Rebon called Olomim." Rashi said, "Lo atzid kaseinu nachna v'pilim tachat v'neinu l'fanecha," and you go a little bit further, it gets to Manu Mechayenu. So that's a kind of a vidu, and Shmuel says that nila is not a tefillah b'chlal. It's not what we call Shmon Esrei. Shmon Esrei is not accurate because it's not 18; it's 7. But it's not even 7. You don't say you don't have Amidah. What we call it, it's not Amidah. It's just a vidu, and that's machlokes. Rav holds it's a tefillah, and Shmuel says that it's a vidu. The Gemara doesn't talk about what the ilah means. Rashi brings down from the Yerushalmi that machlokes in the Yerushalmi, if it means it's the closing of the gates of heaven, which means like nighttime, nightfall, or it means the closing of the Sha'arei Heichal. Here's the Rashi. It brings the brachas Yerushalmi. Chadam anila Sha'arei Shemayim, when the gates of heaven are closing. Chadam anila Sha'arei Azara, when they used to close the gates of the Beis Hamikdash. So the Gemara talks about what is it? Is it a tefillah or a vidu? The Gemara is going to go on to continue a brisa to bring a raya to Rav. You have to make it smaller a bit. Okay, even smaller. Okay, I hope everybody can see it over here on the screen. Okay. So first, the middle line over there. Meisvei, Kasha from Baraisa. Oyam Kippurim Mispalel Sheva Misvada. B'Shachris Mispalel Sheva Misvada. B'Musaf Mispalel Sheva Misvada. B'Mincha Mispalel Sheva Misvada. B'Nila Mispalel Sheva Misvada. It says here that each one of the tefillot of Yom Kippur, Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, and the Elo also, it says you have 7 brachos. The tefillah is not 18, it's not like a regular weekday, it's 7, 3 and 3, the beginning and the end. And in the middle you have the bracha that Melach, Mochel, B'Saleach, Mekadesh, Yisrael, Yom Kippurim. So that's 7 brachos altogether. And each tefillah has that. And here it says beferish these words, V'nilo Mispalel Sheva Misvada. So it says that there are 7 brachos, not like Shmuel. So the Gemara now, the Girsa is confusing. They got 2 Girsos in the Gemara. It starts off here, Tanoi, as if it's going to answer Shmuel and bring a brisa to support him. And it's not going to bring a brisa that supports him. And the Gemara ends off, next line, Tifta the Shmuel Tifta. So our Girsa is a combination of 2 Girsos that doesn't read. You can't read it. So they take out these words. They take out Tanoi. They take all this out. The Gemara is not answering. So if you just ignore the highlighted part, so it said, so how do you sign off the bracha with the vidu? So Rashi says the vidu means that you don't say Mekadesh Yisrael Yom Kippurim, something like that, like every yontif you would usually do, but you say Melach Salchan, like we do. It happens to be that we do both of them together. I don't know where it comes from. Probably it's something later that we can make a combination. So we do both. We do all about Melech Machel B'Salech, and we also do about Mekadesh Yisrael. But Chosim B'Vidah means you don't talk about Mekadesh Yisrael and Kippurim. You just say Melech Salchan or Melech Machel B'Salech. So that's going into a side point. How do you sign off the bracha? So they also say Mispal Sheva. So in our gears that says Tanoi, and then it says Mispal Sheva, there's no Machlokes Tanon. Everybody says Mispal Sheva. This first one also said Mispal Sheva, even what's highlighted, Mispal Sheva. The Chacham say Mispal Sheva. So there's no Tanoi. Nobody's supporting Shmuel. Everybody says Mispal Sheva. So if you take out the Girsa, it says that everybody here says you're supposed to have a tefillah for Ni'ilah, both the Tanakama, Rav Meir, the Chacham, everybody says that. The Machlokes they have is how do you do the Chasima? The first Rav Meir says the Chasima is of Ni'ilah is with the Melech Salchan, Melech Machel B'Salech, and the Chachamim say it sounds like they're saying that if you want to, you could. If you want, you could do the other Chasim also. That seems to be the whole Machlokes. Rashi brings another pshat, according to different gears, there's something else that Rabbanan say not only by Ni'ilah do you say Melech Salchan, also Melech Machel B'Salech, also by the other tefillos also you could. But he says our Gisa doesn't say that. Our Gisa is talking about Ni'ilah, and Rav Meir says you should, and Rabbanan say you could. Anyway, back to the subject. It says Mispal Sheva. It says that you have a tefillah. Nila is not just a vidu. Nila is a tefillah with 3 brachas before, 3 brachas after, and the one in the middle. Tifta the Shmuel Tifta. So the Gemara disproves Shmuel, and that's how we pass him. Even if you have the other girsa that says Tanoi, it is such a girsa, but and the Brisa will say the Chachamim say you don't have to have Sheva. Even if it's a machlokes, also we pass him like Rav, and therefore Nila is a tefillah. Nila is a regular amidah. Next sugya, third wide line. Ula Barav Nachas Kamei the Rava. Pasach Bata B'Chatanu, B'Sim B'Manu Machayenu B'Shabchei. Ula Bar Rav was the Shliach Tzibur. He was the Chazan in front of Rava. Rava was there in the Beis Medrash in the shul, and Ula Bar Rav was the Chazan, and he said Ne'ilah, and he started Ata B'Chatanu, means he did a whole tefillah, the regular Ata B'Chatanu, 3 brachas before, 3 brachas after, and inside B'Sim B'Manu Machayenu. He put Manu Machayenu into the Shmoneh Esrei, which is what we do. And B'Shabchei. And Rava praised him, says a good thing, a good thing. As if he did both shittas. He was Yosef Rav and Shmuel. And we do that also. In our Nila, we have a tefillah, Amidah, and we also put in Manu Machayenu, in the Vidoy, in the middle of the bracha. The Gemara says, a new point, I'm not sure what the Gemara is adding on. The Gemara said it earlier, we had it yesterday already, that Shliach Tzibur says Vidoy in the middle of the tefillah, and the Yachid says it after. What was that? Here it is. Hechan Omro, Yachadam Achat Filasa, or Shliach Tzibur Omro Be'emtza. So I'm not sure why the Gemara repeats it again. By Nil also, that's to point out that Nil also, the Yachid doesn't do the Vidoy in middle of the tefillah, but he does it at the end. So that's how we do. We have a tefillah, we have Manu Machayenu, and the Shliach Tzibur does it.
We have Vidoy by Nil?
Yes. We don't have the whole al-Chet. That's what people are. We don't have the whole al-Chet. But the video is a shamna. And we have that. And also, this tefillah, Manu Machayenu, is also kind of a video. I think Gemara says before, and we do that also. We do Avalanach Tochatanu, we do Manu Machayenu, and we also video. There's a video. And the Chazan also doesn't do the whole al-Chet. But al-Chet is not really the video. The video is a shamna bagadna. That's that. New sugya. Amar Rav. So that's a new sugya now. So, just the Hakdama to the Sugya. Rashi learns the following Sugya, that Mariv, Motzei Yom Kippur, is at nightfall, like we always daven Mariv. And Ne'ilah is a question if it's in the daytime or it's at night. Now we know that Ne'ilah is at night, in the daytime. So we know Ne'ilah is in the daytime. And it says it should be marked, but after that it should finish in the daytime. People rush, and make Ne'ilah in the daytime. But there's going to be a sheet here that says that Ne'ilah is at night. I don't understand how Ne'ilah can be at night. The Kippur is over. But that's how the Gemara is going to go and according to Rashi's pshat. We're just going to learn Rashi. There might be another pshat in the Gemara. Rabbeinu Chanal seems to be very different than Rashi. We're just going to learn Rashi, and it comes out that Marv is at night, and the Ila is machlokas if it's in the day and the night. If it's at night.
Ne'ilah after Marv?
Ne'ilah, no. Ne'ilah at night. Ne'ilah at night. After nightfall. Taste the kachavim, and then there's going to be Shkia. Shalosh before. No, Shalosh
Before we go into.
No. You're
after.
Yeah. Neilah's after.
When we start Marv,
That's not Ne'ilah. Yeah. So that's a big chiddush. Fella, how could you have Ne'ilah at
Does
night?
anybody do it like that?
No.
Not Chassidim,
No. If anything, maybe they hold that daf mincha also at night. So that's something else. When it's shkia, when it's nightfall, but no one's going to do it. The shita that you don't do it in the day, do it after at night. So that's machlokes. That's why she explains the Gemara tamua, like it's a pella to daf Ne'ilah at night. Yom Kippur's over. So I don't understand. But that we'll learn the Gemara like Rashi, and Marv is surely at night. And the question is if mincha is night in the day.
Who says that it's by night?
There's going to be Gemara. This how Rashi learns the Gemara. This is I'm just giving Hakdama how to get into the Gemara. That the Gemara focus is going to be if Ne'ilah is in the day and the night, and if it's at night, so you could be Yotzei Mariv with Ne'ilah. You don't have to have Mariv, because the Ne'ilah is going to come from Mariv. That's how Rashi learns the Gemara. And if you hold that Ne'ilah is in the daytime, then you're not Yotzei Mariv, because Ne'ilah is in the daytime. Mariv has to be at night. That's the sugya. We do that because we daven Ne'ilah in the daytime, then we daven it at night. But if you hold that Ne'ilah is also at night, so then you just would daven Ne'ilah and you wouldn't have to daven Mariv. But we don't do that. We daven Ne'ilah in the daytime and Mariv at night.
If somebody argues with Rashi and gives it a different.
Yes, I think Rabbeinu Chananel is very different. And I think it makes it much easier, but we'll go standard. Rashi. Amar Rav. Filas Ne'ilah B'teres Eshel Arvis. If you daven Ne'ilah, you don't have to daven Mariv. Rav L'tamei, Rav is consistent with what he says, because we just said before that according to Shmuel, it's not even a tefillah. That's sure. If you're just going to say vidoy, then sure you're not Yotzei Mariv. Now, much closer he said, he holds that as extra damidah, extra tefillah. Since you daven Ne'ilah, you don't need Mariv. But they have to stick in, they daven Ne'ilah at night. That the Gemara doesn't even stress. But Rashi says, Rashi says it. That's the point that Rashi. I went too far. So Rashi says they daven at night. So that the Gemara doesn't stress. Rashi stresses it. That it daven. Okay, that's nice. That's very nice. I think it's a very nice point. If the Gemara in Bracha says that there's a shita that holds that you daven Marav not at night, you daven Marav Plag Mincha, and happens to be Rav Vovadia holds like that. That's, I think Ibn Hanan was based on that. That the whole Yisod, we're talking about the Marav is only at night, the Nil is maybe in the day, maybe in the night. You can learn altogether different. You can learn that Marav is in the day after Plag Mincha. We don't do it too much. We do it in early Shabbos, but there's such a thing as maybe davening Mincha after Plag Mincha, and maybe Nil only has to be in the daytime. You can learn the more much different, but we're going with Rashi. So Rashi goes that Marav is at night. He doesn't mention the word about davening Plag Mincha. Also, he goes davening Marav at night. And the question is, if Nil is in the day and the night, and Marav, without even saying it, he means davening Nil at night, and therefore you could be also Marav because you daven a tefillah at night. The Gemara is a kasha side point. Umi, 4 lines from the bottom. Umi Amar Rav Hachi. I'm sorry for all that. Umi Amar Rav Hachi, Amar Rav Allah Kedev Amar Tefillah Shabbos Rishus. Who's talking about being Yotzei Marav? You don't have to daven Marav if you don't want to at all. If you all did Tefillah Shabbos Rishus, if you want to, you can daven Marav. If you don't want, you don't have to. So he says Yotzei Marav Sula Tzor. If you don't have to daven Marav, you never have to daven Marav. So L'Divri Omer Chova Kamar. Even though some hold Tefillah Shabbos Rishus, but he's saying even if you hold that it's a chova, that you must daven Marav, which we do nowadays. We must daven Marav. But you also because you daven Nila at night. Meisvei, Kasha from the Bryce is going to say here you daven Nila and you daven Marav. Meisvei, Oyam Kippur Mispal Sheva Misvada, Shachar Sheva Misvada, Musaf Sheva Misvada, Nila Mispal Sheva Misvada. So it says so far you daven each tefillah during Yom Kippur, 7 brachas and vidu each time, and it said here Nila Mispal Sheva Misvada. So you daven the tefillah like Rob says, but then it says Arvis also daven. Arvis Mispal Sheva Meinch Mon Esrei, Rapanim Mergam Nialam Mishum Avosab Mispal Shemon Esrei Shlemos. That's a side machlokes that when you daven Marav Motzi Yom Kippur, you have to daven the whole regulating brachas. So could you do an abridged version, which the Gemara says in brachas that there's a way to daven an abridged version of Shemon Esrei, which is called Avinenu, that you have the first 3 and the last 3, and then there's one bracha that is a combination of all 13 middle brachas. And since it's Motzi Yom Kippur, people are hungry, so they said you're allowed to daven abridged version.
After all the davening you did on Yom Kippur, now you're going to take a shortcut.
Okay.
It's a chiddush. It's a chiddush because you usually can't do Avinenu with Tzvi Shabbos.
Oh, now it says here, that's what it says here. That's what the Gemara is arguing about. That once the whole Shemon Esrei, you can't do a short version is because he's supposed to say Avdallah. That's not what.
So the other opinion holds that you're allowed to
Yeah.
come and say Shabbos also.
Yeah. That probably goes back. Over there, are you allowed to do an abridged version? See here, this other sheet says that you're not allowed to do an abridged version because you have to say Avdallah, and you can't stick an Avdallah in an abridged version. And that the Gemara talks about in brachas.
Right.
Why not put that into the bracha also? Anyway, what does the Gemara want? That it says Perish Daven Nila and you daven Marav also. Tanohi. So you're right. This Bryce is Perish against Rav, but he found a town like him also. And what I'm going to bring here? A machlokis, which is not going to be obvious, but beneath the surface is going to be the arguing if Nila is in the daytime or in the nighttime. It doesn't say all these words. All this Rashi is explaining that the machlokis is going to be if Nila is in Marav Sholi at night, and Rav holds that you daven Nila at night. He didn't tell us, but that's what he means. And now the machlokis is going to be is Nila in the day or in the night. What does it talk about? The Tanya. It talks about going to the mikvah on Yom Kippur. Since going to the mikvah for immersion is not considered bechitza shel tanya, you're not doing it to wash for enjoyment. So this Rashi says that you're allowed to. That people are chayiv to go to the mikvah, tamei sheretz, tamei meis, wherever it might be. He's allowed to go to the mikvah on Yom Kippur. Neither v'yaledes tovos kedarkan v'leilim b'kippurim. And neither and yaledes afterwards she's supposed to go to it at night, not during the day but at night. And if it came out on the night of Yom Kippur, also she goes to the mikvah on the night of Yom Kippur. Nowadays we don't do this because they're not going to have relations anyway, so we don't. And that they held they're allowed to go to the mikvah. You know, there's no relation. They also have no relations on Yom Kippur, but they're allowed to go to the mikvah. It's not considered rechitza. So good. Balkari told with the mincha. Machlok is about a balkari. So I don't understand because if everybody else is allowed to go to the mikvah tamei sheretz, so why can't the balkari go? I don't know. But I don't have an answer. I don't know why Balkari is more chomer. But here, the Bryce talks about if a Balkari is allowed to go to the mikvah, and it says only if he needs it for davening. We know that other people that are tamei, they're allowed to daven and learn even though they're tamei. But Balkari is a special takana not to learn or daven only if you went to the mikvah. Nowadays, it's the Gemara says they mavachal that takana. You're allowed to learn and daven even if someone's Balkari. It says it's a good thing to do, and people are makbid on that. That's called Tfilos Ezra. So here it talks about is the Balkari allowed to go to the mikvah on Yom Kippur in order to be able to daven. So it says only if he needs to daven still. But carry mincha because he's davening the whole time. He's davening Marav, he's davening Shachris, Mosef, Mincha. He's allowed to daven even after that, till the night. Why? And the Gemara understands machlokes is does he have to daven Ila or not? The one Tanakh says till Mincha because even though he didn't daven Ila, no problem. Daven Ila at night. daven Nila after Yom Kippur. That's what the Gemara sees in between the lines. The Gemara sees that Tanna Kamma says that you're allowed to daven mincha at night after Yom Kippur, and that's what Rav holds like. Rav holds that you daven Nila at night, so therefore you also Mariv because you daven Nila at night at the time of Mariv. Rabbi Yosef and Kulo, you could even go to the mikveh if he's a Balkari, even after you finish mincha. Why? Because he has to daven Nila. Why can't you do it at night? Because he also Nila's dafka in the day. That's what the Gemara found. The Gemara found the machlokes if Nila is in the day or night, because it talks about a machlokes if you're allowed to go to the mikveh in order to daven Nila. If you hold that you're allowed to go, that you're daven at night, so there's no reason to go to the mikveh. Wait till at night. So just to point out how strange it is that Yom Kippur is over. He goes to the mikveh, which you're not allowed to. He goes swimming also maybe. Maybe you also could eat, I don't know. And then he goes to daven Nila. So it's a very strange thing. I don't get it. That's what the Gemara seems to say. That according to Rashi, this sheet holds that Nila is at night, and therefore you don't go to the mikveh in the daytime because you go to the mikveh at night and then go to daven Nila. And to wash. We don't want him to go to the mikveh in the daytime. Go to the mikveh at night after Yom Kippur is over. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know.
It could be, but I'm just saying maybe Tefillah is not naked than Mechitza. It's just Tefillah.
Okay, but the whole thing still I don't understand because it's night. The Kippur is over. 3 stars came out. It's the Kippur is over.
Nobody goes to the Kina Chasim, don't go mitzvah on Tisha B'Av or.
Right. Yes.
You're not allowed.
Mikvah's closed.
Here it says that here it says you'd be allowed to, but we don't. Okay, the Gemara continues a side point now. We finished the sugya really what we wanted. We finished already that machlokes if Nila is in the daytime or the nighttime. Rav holds that it's at night, and therefore you're allowed to. You don't need to daven Mariv because you're Mariv with that. And there is a shita that holds that you have to daven Mariv because they hold that Nila is in the day, and Nila is in the day. Mariv is at the night, so you can't be Yotze. And here also comes out another opinion about going to the mikveh that if you for Balkari you should be allowed to go to the mikveh to daven Nila. If you can do it at night, so then don't go to the mikveh and they wait till the night. It was a side point. It's really going on to Azov, the bone leader, all kinds of people that are Tameh, all kinds of people that are Tameh, like we said before, there's no issue to go to the mikveh bikaron. Neither be let us tell us Kedakim Yom Kippurim. They go to the mikveh at night, so then they can go to the mikveh at night of Yom Kippur. Back now to Balkari, that's back to the subject again. Balkari Tobal Cholo Yom Kulo, Rabbi Yosef and Menamen Cholamala. En Yacholitbol. The same machlokes as before, but it's the wrong names. Before, Rabbi Yossi was the one who says that he could tobel the whole day. And here, Rabbi Yossi one who says only till mincha. And Tanna Kamma before said that he could tobel till mincha, and here he says kalayim kula, the Rabbana. So that's the stira. The stira is that the name pushed around. It comes out again that the court that will say that the machlokes was if Nila is in the day or the night. So we say the same thing over here, but it's the opposite. Here the problem is the opposite. That Rabbi Yossi before said that he could go to the mikveh the whole day because Nila is in the day. Here he says after mincha you can't. Contradiction. Look, Kasha. Other sali tefillas Nila, other love sali. The only reason why we allowed him before to go to the mikveh in the daytime is because he didn't have Nila. He daven mincha. He didn't have Nila. You can't daven at night. It's too late. So go to the mikveh in the daytime in order to be able to daven Nila. But here's somebody daven Nila already. So he's just saying that if you daven mincha and Nila and then he became a Balkari, so don't go to the mikveh because you don't have to daven anymore. It's true that Nila is in the day, but he davened already. But now it doesn't make sense the other way. Either Sali might have Rabbanan. So then the Rabbanan will say that he could go to the mikveh even afterwards. Kalayim Kulo. It doesn't make sense. If he said that he davened everything already, so what's the reason to go to the mikveh? This Rabbanan show you argue on the Rabbanan before. The Rabbanan before said that he could go to the. He can't. What did I say before? Just to go scroll up a little bit. Before it said that according to Rabbanan, he could only go to the mikveh until mincha, and over there we said even if he did not daven Nila, daven at night, and he was saying that even if he did daven Nila, he can't be tovel. He can't be tovel. He could be tovel till the night. He could be tovel the whole day. So this is Mam's contradiction now. Why did Rabbanan say that he's allowed to go to the mikveh after daven Nila? It's either Salam Matamad Rabbanan. If he daven Nila, why should he go to the mikveh? Because Havi Rabbanan Tefillah was mana mitzvah. So this is a new concept. We maybe once spoke about it. Tefillah was mana mitzvah. What is this doing over here? Tefillah was mana mitzvah. That it's a mitzvah to go to the mikveh on the right day. Even though, of course, if he goes the next day, he became tohar. But it's a mitzvah l'chachila to go to the mikveh the right day. So if somebody was a Balkari, he became a Balkari today, so l'chachila go to the mikveh today. If you hold such a mitzvah, it's not to push it off. Of course, if he did push it off and he went to the mikveh tomorrow, in a week, in a year, so whenever he goes to the mikveh, he becomes tohar. But l'chachila to go to the mikveh the right day. And these Rabbanan hold that it's a mitzvah to l'chachila go to the mikveh the right day, the first day that he could. So over here, if he became a Balkari on Yom Kippur, he should go to the mikveh today, even though he davened already. Nothing to do with davening. It has to do with tefillah b'zman mitzvah. Fine. So we had the issue about, till now we hold tefillah was not a mitzvah, but the issue was he should be able to daven. And then the cheshbon was, did he daven, didn't daven, he could daven at night, all these cheshbonos, everything's good as we said till now. And here comes a new issue that somebody else tefillah was not a mitzvah, even if he davened already and no issue, but he should go to the mikveh because it's a mitzvah to go to the mikveh on the right day. But there was a problem with that because Rabbi Yossi says, what we say, the Tanna Kama says, Kulo, on the top line over here, because it is to go to the mitzvah. And Rabbi Yossi says now that once you don't need to davening anymore, so don't. Once you daven ilas, you don't need it anymore. Don't go to the mikveh. But we find Rabbi Yossi is the one who says tefillah is not a mitzvah. That's going to be a steer now. Rabbi Yossi says a lot of mitzvah. He's the one who holds the tefillah not a mitzvah. On the contrary, he's the one who holds that it is a mitzvah. But Tanya. We have this in Masechah Shabbos. Somebody had the name of Hashem written on his skin. Yeah, the name of Hashem written on his flesh. He shouldn't wash, he shouldn't anoint himself, and he should not stand in a filthy place. So Rashi brings on because he shouldn't erase the name of Hashem. There's also the more that talks about the fact that he shouldn't be naked in front of the name of Hashem, so he shouldn't wash. There's not a tefillah mitzvah, but he has to go to the mikveh. So what should he do? Says he should cover up the name. He should take something, some kind of cloth, gemi, a reed, something. He should get something to cover up the name of Hashem.
We don't hear anything.
We hear you.
Thanks, I hear you too.
Congratulations, Paul. You're the monitor. You're the host.
Leib, I guess we know that Rebbe's opinion is you shouldn't learn the last few lines before the siyum.
That maybe that's not Rebbe's opinion. Maybe that's Hashem's opinion.
We'll talk about that very issue at the siyum. Of course, that's a Bezras Hashem.
Rabbi is still
Okay,
muted.
you're still muted, Rebbe.
Okay, Mazel Tov, listen. Arvei Nachas.
Amen.
Everyone is here joining us.
What is it? What's the mazel tov?
My son in Lakewood got engaged. Baruch Hashem.
Oh,
A
wow,
big
you should
mazel
put it
tov, a
in,
big mazel tov,
mazel
Uncle
mazel
Kitson.
tov.
big
Simcha
mazel
for
tov.
everybody.
Oh
Right.
man, you should have the end of all of your tigers and lots of money too.
Amen, amen. Shkosh. V'mezborach is Baruch.
Oh
What's going
man,
on? Okay, I hope that all continue. Okay. Is that we on? Is everybody, does the screen available? The screen is on?
we cut
Yes.
out,
Yes.
Rebbe, right, even before you got to the sugya of Roya Carey. We didn't hear any of that.
Light one.
Okay, I'm not sure what's happening with electricity. It's on the whole time. Okay. It's always on.
No, it's not on now. Now it is. No, it's not. Really, it's now it is. Now it is. Now it is. Oh, you know. I think I would appreciate whoever comes back and learns in person.
Everyone, we I'm obliged to David that's holding us up. We're all being held up. Okay. So Gemara talked about Tefillah was and mitzvah. That's the reason why you should go to the mikvah, even if he can go to the mikvah, even if he already davened, then there's no problem with that. But maybe it's a mitzvah to go on the right day. So over there, you want to say that Rabbi Yossi is no Tefillah was and mitzvah. On the contrary, he's the one who says Tefillah was and mitzvah, because over there it talks about if somebody has the name of Hashem written on his flesh and he has to go to the mikvah, should he cover it up or not? Tanakama says he should get something to cover himself up, that he shouldn't be standing naked before the name of Hashem. And Rabbi Yossi says, no problem. Make sure he doesn't rub the name of Hashem. That's erasing it, mamish. But he doesn't have to look for a gemi. Why is that? And the more over there says, the machlokes is dependent on this issue of tefillah was on a mitzvah. That Rabbi Yossi holds that it's mitzvah to go on the right day. If he's going to start looking for a gemi, he might not find one. He might not find something to cover himself up, and then he might lose the day. And Tanakama says, if you lose the day, go tomorrow. If you don't find the gemi to cover it up, so go tomorrow. According to Rabbi Yossi, it's more important that he shouldn't miss the day. So on the contrary, Rabbi Yossi is the sheet that holds that tefillah was on a mitzvah. So how come before he's the one who said that you don't go to the mikvah after he doesn't have to daven anymore? On the contrary, he sold tefillah on a mitzvah. The more answers, Rabbi Yossi got mixed up with Rabbi Yehuda, the one who says before that he shouldn't go to the mikvah once he daven is because it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda. He's the one who holds tefillah was on that mitzvah. But if you hold like Rabbi Yossi, you should go to the mikvah because tefillah was on a mitzvah. So we got the names mixed up. We thought Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda. The one who says that tefillah is not a mitzvah is Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, that's a different subject. We're talking about over there that a woman has a lot of speakers. When is the right day to go to the mikvah? And Rabbi Yehuda says it's not an issue. According to the ones who hold tefillah is not a mitzvah, so then you have to go to the mikvah many times to make sure that she gets the right day. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, go at the end of everything. For sure, she's tahor now, and there's no issue to get the right day. Just to make sure that she's tahor at the end of the whole issue. So what did the Gemara finish? The Gemara came to the conclusion that there's a machlokes if Ne'ilah is in the day or in the night. If you hold that it's in the night, so you can daven, you don't have to daven Ma'ariv because you have Ne'ilah already at night. We paskin that Ne'ilah is in the day, and if you daven Ma'ariv at night, which we usually pass like daven Ma'ariv at night, you have to daven Ma'ariv again. It would be that according to those who hold that you make an early Ma'ariv, so you should be able to be able to say, according to the Rashi's Pshat, if you hold that you'll be able to daven Ma'ariv in the daytime after Flag Mincha, you should be able to be also with Neil also. So we'll just put that on the side that Akasha comes out according to Rashi. Now, the list now talks about Balkari, Tanu Rabbanan. The Gemara said that, you're right, it's a chiddush, but the Gemara not two tefillas together. One tefillah and you're not going to daven. No, you're not going to. Yes, but you're not going to daven both of them. You're just going to daven Neil, and that's good enough. The Neil is good and the covers Ma'ariv. It's a chiddush that the Gemara wasn't so short, but Rav says so, and the whole issue the Gemara makes is only if you've got the right time zone. If you got the right time zone and you daven Neil, you don't have to daven Ma'ariv.
We don't know from things like that.
Right, I don't know another things.
We ourselves don't do that.
Right, but we do it because we say Neil is.
Even if you don't have a regular Neil, it happens in civic places, whatever it is. You're not going to be Yotze Ma'ariv.
It could be because you're not Yotze Nila. That's
whatever you want to say. Well, there are days. Let's just say because of the days and all that there is, you could be summoned on those days.
Okay, Rav says that if you got the time zone, you're okay for Mariv, and the Gemara doesn't argue with that. The Gemara does says that is Nila in the day or in the night. And just to point out, before you do anything, there's a Ben Hananali that seems to be altogether different. Everything changes over. Tami Rabbanan, Aror Keb Yom Kippurim, Yod Tobel, will ever be Shavshet. If someone sees carry, so we saw he can go to the mikvah. We saw going to the shittas, he's able to daven, whatever the case would be, that he can go to the mikvah on Yom Kippur. So literally, the words would mean at night after Yom Kippur. Then he should rub. What has been rubbed? Rub off the carry. And the Gemara thinks in order that it shouldn't be a chatzitza. So it does make sense. He went to the mikvah, then he takes off the chatzitza. You have to take off the chatzitza before you go to the mikvah. If he's going to take off the chatzitza at night, whatever happened. He went to the mikvah with the chatzitza. It's not a good tefillah. So if anything, he has to take off the chatzitza before the mikvah. The Gemara says not la'erev, but mibe'erev yishavshet. So Rashi learns a Chiddush Pshat. Rashi learns that every person should be choshesh. Maybe he's going to become a Balkari Yom Kippur, and therefore he should make sure he has no chatzitza on him before Yom Kippur comes in order that if on Yom Kippur he gets he comes a Balkari, has to go to the mikveh, he should make sure he has no chatzitza on him, which is a huge Chiddush. Why should anybody be choshesh he's going to become a Balkari? That's how Rashi learns the Gemara. There are others that learn differently. That it means that if he became a Balkari from at night, the night of Yom Kippur, so then by the day ready it's dried up, then he should be Meshav Shef in order to get off the chatzitza. If he became a carry in the daytime, so then it's still liquidy. So therefore he can go to the mikveh without rubbing it off because it's not a chatzitza. But if it became already about carry in the night of Yom Kippur before, so then he has to, by the daytime, he's going to the mikveh, it's already dried up, so he should rub it off in order that it shouldn't be a chatzitza. The Agav, the Mishnah Berurah talks about is there a din of chatzitza by Tfilas Ezra. There's a din to be makbid on chatzitza by Tfilas Ezra. That's not a device of the tefillah, it's only Tchanas Ezra. So this Gemara would seem that there is an issue of chatzitza by Tfilas Ezra also. Tani Tana Kamedu Nachman. The last Gemara of the Masechta, Aror Keb Yom Kippurim, Avonosim L'chulun. The last Gemara talks about if somebody sees Keren Yom Kippur. The post can talk about that. It doesn't mean a young person that has a Hurim, he had sexual fantasies, he saw Yom Kippur, he saw Keri. That's not what the Gemara's talking about. But here's talking about somebody that saw Keri. What?
Isn't Keri different than just
having a seminal emission? That's what it means. And that's what Keri is. Keri means that he has a seminal emission. So here it says that a whole sugya, if it's a good thing, if it's a bad thing, the post can say it's not talking about somebody that saw it as a result of his Hurim, that he had thoughts and that's why he had an emission. That's not the Gemara's talking about. The Gemara's talking about somebody that under circumstances, no reason why he should have seen Keri. Something's like a strange thing, either because he's older, whatever the case would be, and he saw Keri, so then it's a simon ben Hashemayim. Then he can take it as a simon. If it's something that it's not a kasha, it's not a simon. If somebody sneezes, the Don Shemon Esrei, so it's course one of it's a simon. But if he takes some tabak before Shemon Esrei, then it's not such a big simon. It's not a kasha. He's standing under the air conditioner and he sneezes, it's not a simon. So it means here that if something is unexpected, then the song him a shemon ben Hashemayim. That's how they learn the Gemara here. So it says, he should know that his sins are forgiven. It's a good simon. It's a good simon that he saw Keri on Yom Kippur. But Tanya V'nosov Stura, the Bryce is mashma that all his Averis are arranged, sounds like it's all arranged, it's all there, his Averis are all standing in line. No, also that. Ma'aseh Durin is only machal. It's all arranged to get mechila. They're all set up. As a simon, Hashem loves them and is machlim for all his Averis. Tana that Rabbi Shmuel, he should worry. He should worry that maybe it's not a good simon. Maybe it's a simon. Rashi says that maybe it's a simon that they're not accepting his afflictions. The fact that he's holding back from chila, shtia, so they can't from heaven they can't make him eat, can't make him drink, but he's holding back from relations, so that they could in a way take away the inui by giving him that he had that emission. So that means that maybe they're not accepting his inui. It's like Rashi brings down that the servant comes to serve wine to the master and he throws it in his face, like he says the rains on Sukkot. So the same idea that they're not accepting his affliction. So that's a bad simon. But if but if he made it through the year, that means in retrospect he sees that it wasn't a bad simon. They didn't mean to say that we don't accept your tshuva. So what is it? On the contrary, they were showing him a good simon, and Rashi says that's what the Gemara meant before also. Either it's a bad simon or it's a good simon. If he doesn't make it through the year, that means they're telling you that they don't want his tshuva, they don't want his affliction. But if he made it through the year, so that wasn't what they meant. They meant that he's good and it's ben olam haba, and they don't need his affliction. Shouldn't be afflicted. And the way is to say, like they couldn't feed him min hashamayim, but they can make it that he shouldn't have the inui of tashmish hamita. If he made it through the year, so then he should be assured that he's going to have olam haba. Everybody's afflicted, hungry, and he's not afflicted because he had an emission that is a enjoyment in that. The Gemara makes it as if it's considered an enjoyment. Of course, you're not allowed to do it. But if Hashem made it happen, And again, doesn't mean that he did anything to have that. He wasn't even thinking. I had no Hehurim. And Hashem made that I should have that. It doesn't seem like it's an Avera, and he was satisfied, so to speak. And Hashem saying you don't have to be afflicted. Avdimi came and said he's going to live long, and he's going to have a lot of children and grandchildren. He'll live long, and so the fact that Sagi Amazgi will have children, that's the zera, that the seed is a simon that will have children. And how do you get Mapashchai? Where do you see he's going to live long? So you got to take it down. The Pasuk says, "Yira zera yarach yamim." Rashi will say that Yira zera yarach yamim. The Pasuk says he'll see seed, and supposed to have children, and he'll live long. But the Gemara is not saying that if he sees seed, if he saw have the mission, that's a sin that yarach yamim. Hadalach, Perikim Kippurim, the Stiklam Maseches Yoma. Mazel tov to everybody, and soon we'll be saying the whole 100 many times and thanking Hashem for the schus to have learned all this Masechta, amazing schus. And Bez Hashem will be starting Masechta Sukkah shortly. And by the Siyam, Bez Hashem will start Masechta Sukkah. That's the order that goes next in the Daf Yomi, and we should be finishing Masechta Sukkah also before Sukkot. So Bez Hashem works out very well. Yashkar to everybody, and a big Mazel tov to everybody. We'll be back in about 15 minutes
Mazel tov. Thanks.
for the Shia Muktzah. Everybody can prepare the Torah for the Siyam. Everyone's invited to join in the Divrei Torah. Yashikar.